Time, weather, and...
Sick to the back teeth of the BBC and its liberal bias.
Always doesn't go far enough.
False sense of balance.
I have all these eggs.
Duty to represent. Both sides of the argument suggest that there are only two ways of looking at it. Oh, prepare your millets. Where's your bloody teeth, BBC?
This is not liberal. This is far, far worse. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the annoyingly idealistic worldview of Andrew O'Neill.
Good evening! Some songs for the colourblind. I see trees are green, red roses too. They're green as well. What can you do? And I think to myself, why did I become a bomb disposal expert? Jimmy, cut the red wire. They're all red wires. Just run, yeah! All the leaves are brown, and the sky is brown. Good evening! Shopping, killing and stealing, the three main types of spree. They're the main ones. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew O'Neill, and welcome to episode 2 of Pharmacist, Baffler, a show that aims to do to your notions of gender and sexuality what Des O'Connor does to notions of what white people's skin is supposed to look like. And tonight I am ably assisted by the right-wing bigot, Mr. Stephen Carlin.
Hello, Andrew. Bring back hanging.
Stephen's catchphrase there. So tonight we're going to look at sexuality and we're going to prod all the dangly bits with sticks and see what comes out.
Is that a metaphor?
No. Now, people are oddly hung up on issues of sexuality, so tonight we'll be asking what it means to be not straight, why certain people have a problem with that, and then I'm going to make it all right, using the power of comedy. By the time I'm done, Stephen, you're going to be annoyed you're not gay.
I hope so, Andrew.
So, why is sexuality still such a big deal? It's 2014, there are plenty of queer people on television, we have a gay Prime Minister...
The BBC would like to apologise to the Prime Minister for that last joke, and also for the annoying fact of our own existence. We know it frustrates you that a publicly funded institution is the worldwide gold standard of television broadcasting.
The actual BBC would like to apologise for that last joke, which defended the BBC. It is BBC policy never to defend ourselves against attacks from vested interests.
Right. This really is the BBC. The repeated use of false BBC apologies in this comedy show is a blatant rip-off of Monty Python. The BBC would like to apologise to Monty Python for ripping them off, although they seem happy enough to recycle their own ideas of late.
Not my views! Not my views, the views of the BBC. So sexuality still seems to be a big issue for some people, and homophobia still crops up in sport and schools and in politics. For example, Nigel Farage, the privately educated millionaire banker and man of the people, he said that most people over 70 are uncomfortable with homosexuality. Now, admittedly, that is a problem that will sort itself out. Give it 20 years. The fact that people like Farage still make it an issue means people genuinely suffer. People are still beaten up and actually murdered in this country for being gay. The highest rate of suicides in this country is among gay teenagers. So why am I personally concerned about this, apart from, common decency? Well, I'm not gay, but I am a transvestite, which in a lot of people's eyes is simultaneously the same thing and worse. Now, I do cross-dress more than I used to. I have recently joined the Union of Transvestites, and you do have to cross-dress 3 days out of 7. Get a day off tomorrow. And this show is called Pharmacist, Baffler, because I don't like the word transvestite. It's a bit loaded. I've been looking for less contentious or difficult phrases like clothes weirdo or gender spanner or abomination before God. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. Yeah, it's actually in there. Just before the bit about what to do if you see a bird's nest in the road.
If thou find as thou walkest by the way a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take her with her young, but shalt let her go, keeping the young which thou hast caught, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live a long time.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 6 and 7. Yeah, that's 2 verses on bird's nest etiquette. And only 1 on the clothes thing. So get off my back, Jesus. So again, as with last week, I'm aware that my transvestism doesn't come across particularly brilliantly on the radio. So I'll now ask someone here to describe for you what I'm wearing. So what's your name?
Joe.
Joe, everyone. Say hello, Joe. So Joe, for the listeners at home, can you please, in as much detail as you can muster, describe my appearance?
Wearing a beautiful tunic thing.
Beautiful tunic thing. He started off with a compliment.
Lovely high heels.
Lovely high heels. Yeah, not that high, but
Wouldn't mind
yeah.
wearing them, yeah.
I like you adding a compliment to each of these descriptions, so you are coming back to the green room afterwards. Seriously, mate. You've got some wine in there, some soft music. Keep it coming. As you'll learn later, it's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, similar hair to my girlfriend's.
So, say that again.
Similar hair to my girlfriend.
Similar hair to his girlfriend. If you're listening at home, you know Joe. You know his girlfriend. Similar hair to that. Thank you very much. Round of applause, please, for Joe. Now, hi, what's your name?
Doug.
Doug. All right, so Doug, please, for the listeners at home, in as much detail as you can muster, please describe my appearance.
A black chiffon-like top with a long tail to it.
Right, already. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I found myself an expert. Good work, Doug. Keep it going.
And with red and black checked leggings and zip-up black boots. Ankle boots.
That was great. Thank you, Doug. That was wonderful. Also, if you're at home, just Google me. People assume I'm gay because I cross-dress. I'm not gay, I am heterosexual, so, ladies, if you're bored of knowing where your clothes are... Sort of like the gay best friend you can do sex with. The gawk one you can take home, if you like. We'll have a gossip, share a bottle of wine, then I'll take you roughly up the shops. But no, transvestites are no more likely to be gay than the rest of the population. There is no link between the gender you present and the gender you fancy. And I fancy women. Well, for the record, I am a bit gay. If gay was an allergen, I would have to declare that I contain trace amounts of gay. I was made in a factory that also handles gay. Out of all the women in my life I've met, I reckon I've probably fancied about 1 in 4. It's a lot anyway. My heterosexuality is kind of ludicrously active. Out of all the men I've met in my life, I've fancied a grand total of 2. One of them I actually got off with in a nightclub, and I didn't hugely enjoy the experience. So technically, I think that may reduce my total to 1. Now, this proportion means very different things to different people. Gay people don't think it counts at all. Bisexual people are split on the issue. Come on! But homophobic people think it makes me Lord of all the bums. It's mainly the cross-dressing thing that makes people think I'm gay. I get a lot of misdirected homophobia directed at me because of the way I dress. I was once called gay in the street while I was with my girlfriend. We were in the West End and I was just wearing a bit of makeup. It was just a quota day for the union. I was crossing the road and coming the other way with these 3 urban youth types. This bloke goes, "Oi, mate, you're wearing lipstick." Now, I've been in the comedy business a few years, ladies and gents. I'm pretty good with the quick retort, the heckle put down. So I pulled this one out. I said, yeah, I know. Now this foxed him. Don't know if he thought there'd been some sort of terrible bathroom-based accident. I said, I know. He went, yeah, mate, you look gay. I said, this is my girlfriend. You're with two blokes. I put it to you, sir, that it's you who looks gay! Oh, his mate's creased up laughing, and I won that encounter. So why are people so concerned with other people's sexuality? Because it's always the homophobes who go around telling people they're gay, isn't it? It's weird. You don't get racist people going around accusing white people of being black, do you? Oi, mate, you look Asian.
No, it's just a tan.
Yeah, you're Asian, mate. Oi, mate, you're Chinese. It doesn't happen. Homophobic people nearly always mistake cross-dressing for being gay. And maybe aggressively homophobic people are not big fans of Nuance. Maybe Nuance is inherently gay. But my cross-dressing, combined with my open-minded fancying policy, can cause confusion. And if it was the other way around, it wouldn't be a thing, would it? If I was gay and I'd fancy two women, they wouldn't say, well, you're clearly straight, aren't you? I mean, you may have had more cock than a Kellogg's cornflakes packet designer. But you, sir, are a screaming hetero. Give you another minute to enjoy the cornflakes joke. Now, the association of homosexuality with cross-dressing confused me when I was a kid. When I was growing up in the 80s, the only people in the public eye who cross-dressed were gay. So I thought, does this mean I'm gay? Because I don't fancy men. That's going to make being gay really difficult. It's going to let people down. And yet the vast majority of people who cross-dress in the public eye are gay. The reason they're happy to be seen cross-dressing is they don't worry that people will think they're gay. Because they're gay. Oh, mate, you look gay. Yeah, cheers. But most transvestites have an overdriven heterosexuality. The sexuality of straight transvestites is wanting to look like the people you find attractive. And yet most men still seem to have the dumb idea that femininity exists for their benefit, like it's some kind of mating signal. This mistake on the part of straight men is obvious when you see how they treat me when I cross-dress. I've had hands on my legs, hands up my skirt. The normal boundaries disappear. And then there's this.
I'll tell you what, you want to be careful around me when I'm drunk, mate.
What?
You want to be careful around me when I'm drunk, eh?
Okay. What are you suggesting?
Oh, nothing.
No, really. What are you suggesting? Why do I need to be careful around you when you're drunk?
Because I'm likely to start...
That's what I thought that meant. I'm going to go over there now, because you are really creeping me out. Stop looking at me like that.
Not all men.
What?
It's about ethics and games journalism.
Right, leave me alone. But that's one extreme. The other is a particular type of homophobia. I dress feminine, and straight men fancy femininity, whether or not it's attached to a vagina. And that's why some men get angry at me for cross-dressing. I represent a detached, fetishised version of womanhood. I'm laying bare the fact that their attraction isn't to biological femaleness, but instead to the cultural approximations and abstractions of it. Yep, that's why they get angry. Or it might be because I've made them feel gay. And the single greatest insight I ever gained into the mind of a homophobe came from a man I had a fight with on a night bus. It all started when he shouted abuse at two gay guys. I shouted some abuse back at him, and then we had a debate. The debate was on the topic of whether or not I'm gay. He felt very strongly that I was. Just like at school, he thought that defending gay people was a sign of being gay. Having long hair was suggested as further evidence. At one point, he said, "You look like a woman." I suggested that, considering his avowed heterosexuality, this was surely a compliment. It just seemed to confuse him. But he didn't get sidetracked. He then laid out his argument. He started off by saying, "It's not natural." I said, "You're queuing up for a night bus." Where do they occur in nature? Dr. Science. This is the most common argument I've heard against homosexuality. Oh, it's not natural. OK, well, if we accept for the sake of argument that it isn't, then if you're being at all consistent, you should also campaign against microwaves space exploration, chemotherapy, hovercrafts, and that American cheese that comes in a can. Now, his next argument was another classic. If everyone was gay, he said, there'd be no people left. The existential argument. But the real reason for their homophobia became apparent towards the end of the debate. Right? At this point, the man informed me, rather bluntly, that he had had sex with my mum. I said, why? She's 67. And he said, what, don't you like your mum? I said, well, not in that way. She's past her best. She was quite hot in the 60s. And this led to the other man saying to him, don't say things like that. God can hear you. Aha! They are religious. What a surprise. Now, there's no point trying to convince a religious person that their holy book is not the divine word of God, but was written by a bunch of power-hungry, slave-owning, misogynist homophobes in a desert community 4,000 years ago. There's no point having that argument. So I won't even bring it up. So if we instead assume for the sake of argument that God is real and the Bible is his autobiography...
Oh, I notice you're not having a go at the Muslims.
It's because I know exactly sod all about the Quran. Shut up and eat your pot noodle. There's a lot of rules in the Bible that Christian homophobes don't seem bothered about. It says you shouldn't wear mixed fibres, you should stone people to death for adultery. It also says that women who are menstruating shouldn't handle food. Where's that protest? It was standing outside shops. You smell of iron, put down that pair. Or maybe that protest took place behind closed doors, and that's why we now have self-service checkouts. Unexpected Bible reference in the bagging area. Most religious people manage not to be dicks about this stuff. It's the exceptions that let the side down.
Thing is, though, Andrew, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Does that mean that God didn't make anyone called Steve?
Yes. Yes, I think it does.
Cool. Now... So, right, religion we've covered. So how about we look into the deep comedy potential of self-loathing? It's all uphill from here. The biggest reason for homophobia isn't religion or being secretly queer. It's the arbitrary enforcement of normal behaviour, or as I call it, being a dick. Every study I've read on homophobia basically concludes that people behave in homophobic ways for social status and to reassure themselves of their place in society. Now, it seems that when it comes to homophobia, the more you try to get to the bottom of it... Sorry. Sorry, I should rephrase that. The more you try to get to the bum sex of it, the less it's actually about people being gay. It's more proving your place in society, pecking orders. Now, homophobia is about one-upmanship, so to speak. There is a pecking order. The lowest in the queer pecking order are bisexual people. Selfish, greedy bisexuals. With their lycra shorts and their helmets. Taking up more space on the road than they need to.
The BBC would like to apologise to any cyclists who may have been offended by a comparison to greedy, selfish bisexuals. We would like to make it clear that we in no way associate the cyclist community with the moral bankruptcy of bisexuality.
The BBC would like to apologise for the previous unofficial announcement and also for Andrew's frequent reliance on these false BBC interruptions to make this rather dry subject matter funny.
Then there's pansexual people who fancy goats. Omnisexual people who fancy people who are all around you.
The BBC would like to just make absolutely sure that you can see what Andrew is doing here, and frankly, he's on his own.
Pansexual describes people who fancy people regardless of their gender identity, whether that's male or female or a mix of the two. They're the most groovy and fluid of all. I think they're genuinely onto something, because the notion that the sexes are opposites is rubbish. The opposite of a human man isn't a human woman. It's probably more something like a pan-dimensional octopoid slime beast. And where's the stand-up routines about that?
Oh, men in pan-dimensional octopoid slime beasts are different, aren't they? Men like football, don't they? And going to the pub. Whereas pan-dimensional octopoid slime beasts, oh, it's like they remember every little word that you say.
The sexuality of transvestism is an overdriven heterosexuality. So I don't understand heterosexual men who don't dig women. I don't understand sexism in straight men. This just makes no sense.
I prefer the company of men, but not in that way. That's wrong. I like to have sex with women, but I don't actually like women. Oh, they can't drive.
It's insane. It's somehow seen as more manly in our society to be heterosexual but not dig women. You hear it all the time.
My girlfriend, poor, the old ball and chain, eh? My wife, poor, I don't even like her.
Really? Why'd you marry her?
Because I like going, poor. And I wanted to do that more often. No, I'd rather be down the pub with my mates watching football.
Really? Why don't you be gay? Why don't you screw your mates down the pub while watching the football in a massive daisy chain? Time your orgasms for a goal, right? In the meantime, I'll be around your house banging your wife wearing her clothes. Deal? It's rare they say yes. The point is made. Of course, this suggests that sexuality is a choice, and it isn't. If it was a choice, I'd be much more gay than I am, because in the words of my mate Mark, it looks like a lot of fun. And sexuality isn't fixed anyway. It can and does change. Because without wanting to sound like I'm making excuses, the men I fancied both looked really feminine. In fact, I fancied more masculine women than them. I fancy a lot of lesbians. Women who work in bike shops. Oh, I totally fetishise women who can fix stuff. Seriously, bikes, computers, if you can weld, I am basically yours. So to get a bit of insight into this blurred nature of who fancies who, I'm going to investigate you as an audience. So, with a hooray, I want you to shout out who's straight? Hooray! Who's gay? Yay! Who's bisexual? Yay! More bisexual than gay, or just louder? I don't know. Asexual? Hooray! Yay! Two of you. Me after... Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Pansexual? Omnisexual? Other? OK, so all the straight men, please put your hands up in the air. All the heterosexual men, put your hands up in the air. OK, right, so you, sir, in the Doctor Who scarf. What's your name?
Robbie.
Hello, Robbie. So you're a straight man?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you, Robbie, first of all, who would you say is your ideal woman, a kind of celebrity, someone we've all heard of, your notion of an ideal woman?
Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick?
She's an actress.
She's an actress. Cool, all right, so I'm going to ask you a question, right? If I was to give you £80 million and you either had to have sex with someone who looked exactly like Anna Kendrick but had a penis, or someone who looked exactly like Michael Elphick who played Boone, right, but had a vagina. Now, for those of you who don't know what Michael Elphick, who played Boone, looked like, imagine if you found an Ugg boot behind your garden shed. That's what he looked like, OK? So for £80 million, you had to have sex with one of those two. Who would you go for?
The she-male Kendrick.
Now, A, she-male is a massively offensive phrase, but that's fine. You're here to learn, aren't you? Yeah, a round of applause, please, for Robbie. That's... So, What does that prove? Well, nothing really. Nothing about you. It doesn't mean you're not straight. All it means is the category of straight isn't necessarily sufficient to describe the truth of the situation. Because when you add transsexual people to this idea of you only fancy one or the other gender, it becomes massively, massively blurred. Because you don't fancy people's vaginas, do you? I'm something of a gynophile, but the first time I saw a vagina, I didn't go, awesome! I went, oh dear. Is she all right? So, where do we go from here? Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an imperfect society, but if the smoking ban has taught us anything, it's that a bullying state can impose change against people's will. We can make being homosexual accepted, but let's not stop there. Let's celebrate homosexuality to the point where it's socially unacceptable not to be gay.
I think you may have gone too far here.
No, Stephen. I want to live in a brighter world, a gayer world, a world with better nightclubs, cleaner gyms, no more unwanted pregnancies, and shorter queues to see good bands.
You mean like Brighton?
Yes, Stephen. Like Brighton. It wouldn't just benefit gay people, it would relieve dickhead men from the burden of their own homophobia, because frankly, it looks tiring. All that shouting and projecting that they can simultaneously win a fight while riding a horse and starting a fire. Relax, fellas. Sports fans could admit to the homoerotic subtext, and hooligans could do what they've always wanted to do and actually shag the opposing fans. Everyone would come out, suicide and depression would drop, and Rob Halford from Judas Priest would take his rightful place as a gay icon. We really can build a society where the gender you fancy is no more of an issue than your taste in hats. Personally, I like gothic-looking hats with big boobs. The way to build it is for everyone to come out, particularly people who aren't very gay, because every little helps. So everyone, let's do this. Be brave and come out. Come out wherever you are.
Andrew O'Neill, Pharmacist, Baffler was written and performed by Andrew O'Neill and also starred Stephen Carlin, with voices from Jude Adewudike, Paul Heath and Beatrice Jones. It was produced by Alison Vernon Smith.